Hello friends, welcome back to the Mothership. Today we're going to be cooking up these incredible looking ground brisket stuffed peppers. Let's get started. The first thing that we want to do is thinly chop our onion and our garlic. I'm going to get a pan and melt some butter, and then I'm going to saute our onion until they become soft, and then in the last couple seconds add in our garlic and let it saute itself for 30-45 seconds. With our onion and garlic ground, I'm going to go in with our brisket. If you're wondering what I do with all of my trimmings from my brisket, here it is. I would say this is probably about a 70-30 mix if you were just going to add ground beef. You could also do sausage. There's a whole lot of different things you can do here. I always have tons of brisket, and I like using it for cooks like this. So I'm going to cook down this brisket, brown it completely, and then we're going to move on with adding in our taco seasoning. With our brisket browned, what I'm going to do now is take all of our seasoning, as always, everything is listed down below, pour it in. Then I'm going to add in a half cup of water. What I'm going to do is set the water to boil and then let it simmer until the water completely evaporates. With our ground brisket nice and seasoned, I'm just going to add in our cooked rice and mix it all up. What I want to do is I want to just let this cool off a bit, because when I add my cheese in, I don't want the cheese to start melting. I want the cheese to melt when it's in the pepper. So I'm just going to put this aside, let it cool off, and then we'll add in our cheese, and then we'll get our peppers assembled and throw them onto the smoker. And while we wait for everything to cool off, I went ahead and cut up our peppers. You can really use whatever color you want. I like to do a little mix. I probably would have thrown a yellow in here if they had them, just for the color factor. A couple ways to do this. You could cut the top off and then make this flat and have them sit like this. Those will get thicker, deeper peppers. I tend to cut them on the side like this. I think they cook a little bit faster and allows me to have a couple more of them, and I'd rather have one pepper that I'm going to eat, two peppers I'm going to eat, rather than cut one in half and put it in the fridge. So this is the way I tend to do it. You can do whatever you want, but basically what we're going to do is once we mix the cheese into the meat mixture, we're going to fill these up all the way to the top, and then we're going to put them onto the smoker. The smoker's at 275, and I have our peppers here on the top rack. It's not entirely necessary, it's just a habit at this point. Almost everything I do goes on the top rack, if you couldn't tell. I'm going to let this thing smoke probably for about an hour, 15 maybe, and then I'm going to put some more cheese on top, and then let that cheese melt, and we should be done. So right now, we're just going to maintain the temperature, keep monitoring, make sure nothing starts burning or anything gets too dark, and just let it do its thing. About an hour and 20 minutes later, and these are done. I let them smoke for about an hour, and then the last 15 minutes or so, I put some extra cheese on top just to get it to melt, get that nice look that we're looking for. Now you might be wondering, why didn't I cover these? If you're doing them in your oven, you might be used to putting tinfoil on top. I actually really like the crust. I like it when the meat and the rice kind of crusts over the top, gives you a nice crunch. And I wanted everything to get as much smoke as possible. This is the way that I like to do it. You could have done the exact same recipe, but cover the top of them with tinfoil for 45 to an hour. That would work as well. But I gotta tell you, I'm starving. I've added some sour cream on here. You should always add sour cream. And now it's time to give it the old official chomp. It's as good as I remember them. This is my favorite way to do stuffed peppers, guys. The seasoning works perfectly with these. There's some smoke flavor on there. The peppers are cooked perfectly. You notice we didn't have to blanch them. We didn't have to cover them. This is a really easy way to do stuffed peppers. If you guys got anything out of this, or if you want me to cook something specific, you know the drill. Send me a comment down below, like, subscription, all that jazz. And as always, cook something fantastic.